My name is Gabe Miller. I work full-time as a civil engineer in a small California city and make music and YouTube videos on my main channel and this channel. My day actually starts the night before when I make a matcha latte that I can take to work with me the next morning. Seriously, this stuff is my serotonin juice. I do make an effort to get to bed on time with varying degrees of success, but more often than not, I ruthlessly prioritize my sleep because I'll know I'll feel like doo-doo the next day if I don't. I wake up bleary-eyed the next morning to my phone alarm, then the physical alarm at the foot of my bed a few minutes later. After a bit of scrolling through YouTube Studio, I drag myself out of bed and stumble zombie-like towards the bathroom to do the usual getting ready stuff. By now, I'm more or less properly awake and I have just enough time to scarf a bagel before heading out the door. This isn't the healthiest morning routine, and it's definitely nothing like those wantrepreneur hustle videos that you'd normally see, but it's sustainable. I can guarantee you that those people aren't taking cold showers or meditating for 2 hours most mornings anyway. Now is a good time to acknowledge two major points of privilege. First, I live with my parents and am actually happy to do so at age 24. I like my parents and my siblings. They're roommates that I'm just already happy to be with, and it allows me to aggressively save money while I work full time. It might already be obvious, but you'll see why this is relevant to YouTube and music in a bit. And secondly, I actually like my job. Of course, there are plenty of days where it's very stressful or just a complete slog, but overall, I find the work enjoyable in the moment and fulfilling in the big picture. I get to work on stuff that people use day in and day out. It has a tangible effect on people's lives, and that's really cool. And it keeps my brain engaged and constantly learning and solving problems. Since engineering is a demanding job, I try to give it my undivided attention as much as possible. If I ever do get distracted by a thought of an idea or a task I want to accomplish later, I'll write it down to get it out of my head as quickly as possible. I do sometimes use lunch breaks to bash out video outlines or even full scripts, like the script for this specific video, or even tinker with music ideas, but I don't do that as much these days. Usually I just use my lunch break to walk around, get my head clear, and of course, eat food. I do want to note, though, that pre-pandemic, bringing a device like the Innovation Circuit or Roland MC101 or any other portable music production device to a cafe over my lunch break was a game changer back in the day, and is one of the main reasons I've made so much music, and the big reason behind my pivot to hardware on my main channel. Once I get home from work, I can finally let the YouTuber and music producer side of my brain run wild. It's always somewhere in the back of my head trying to get out, but you'll notice that I haven't actually done much with it yet up until this point in the day. A while back, I did try the whole get up super early and work on your passion first thing before you even go to work and before the rest of the world is even up, but that messed with my sleep way too much, so I pretty much immediately killed that idea. After dinner, my evening can branch off into a few directions. One, I could simply piss it away watching YouTube videos and generally doing nothing and feeling bad and ignoring the stuff that I actually care about, but I try not to do that. There's nothing wrong with it, but usually I find I enjoy my evenings a lot more if I actually do something, anything. Number two, I can work on a music or Two, I can work on music or a video. When it's all said and done, I probably will only have an hour or two to actually sit down and do this, so I've tailored my production pipeline to match. My video production process is ruthlessly efficient, down to my ridiculously clean but over-engineered setup, which I did a dedicated video on that also released today on my main channel. I'll link it at the end of this video. The net result of all that is that I basically don't have to do any setup or tear down for filming. If I want to make a beat from scratch on camera, I can literally just turn my cameras and recording equipment on, plug stuff in, hit record in pretty much under 5 minutes, go, end up with one video file that I then upload for one of my best friends, Ian, to edit, and I'm able to afford to pay him to edit videos. And that's huge. And for that matter, I'm able to afford all of the equipment that makes this setup possible. I'm able to afford to invest in gear to review on the main channel and in plugins to review on this channel. That's where the privilege comes in. I am able to reinvest all of the money that I make from this side hustle back into it so it can continue growing, because I can rely on my full-time income to cover my expenses. That's a bit of a tangent though. Let's talk about how long everything actually takes. If I want to make a beat from scratch on camera with a platform or device or software that I'm already familiar with, it takes about an hour and 15 minutes, generating about an hour of footage. I might spend 30 extra minutes off camera, maybe on a different day, to like fine-tune that beat and assemble all the different pieces that will need to go into a finished video. For a demonstration video, like walking you through something I've already made or a video that I've scripted in advance, I can usually film that in about 30 minutes. I could also use 30 minutes to an hour to film just a section of a much larger project, or I could spend that time off camera tinkering with musical ideas or bashing out video scripts. For reference, I'm about 17 minutes into this filming session for this fully scripted video. It probably took me about a half hour to script, and I've been getting B-roll just going about my normal life. Another thing that has been a game changer for me, I keep a giant list of all of the video ideas and even musical ideas that I have in Notion. And I've even marked how long I estimate each video idea will take to make and how much preparation it might need. So if I have an outline that I want to put in there, I'll keep it in that Notion note, or I'll put a number there for how many hours I imagine it'll take to prep and film, and kind of rank them on how much prep I think they'll need in the first place. So if I sit down and feel like I don't have a ton of direction, which is often, I can look at the list and see, oh, this idea here is reasonably likely to do well and probably won't take that long to do, and I could probably do it with very little preparation. Let's go for it. And like I mentioned earlier, once I'm done filming, I'll upload that stuff for Ian to edit, and I'll probably put together a thumbnail in a completely different time. Ian's a graphic designer and he has done thumbnails for me and they're excellent, but I just like making YouTube thumbnails, so often I'll do that myself, sometimes in just little 15-minute chunks whenever I happen to get them. The other major direction an evening can go is social. Since the beginning of the pandemic, me and some hometown and college groups of friends have made it a point to hang out on Discord voice chat and play video games, or just generally talk and hang out once or twice a week. And this has been pretty consistent. It was a vital sanity keeper during the pandemic, and we realized, hey, a lot of us live in different places now, but there's nothing stopping us from just continuing to do this. And of course, when I can, I'll hang out with people in person, either my family or friends. Regardless, social evenings mean that I probably don't have time to work on music or YouTube. Occasionally, I can cram both in, like speed film something before hopping onto Discord to hang out with people, but more often than not, I'm just hanging out with people and letting music fall to the wayside for that evening. That's fine, because I know I have a reasonably good balance of social evenings and antisocial evenings, and I just have to be very flexible. And that's something that definitely took some getting used to, but I have to be flexible, work on stuff when I notice I have the time, and then just let it go when I don't. The actual amount of time per week I spend working on music and YouTube stuff fluctuates, but it's at least enough to where I've generated a bit of a stockpile of videos, of song ideas, of music, so that I'm always working a bit ahead. And I take weekends and especially longer breaks to really accelerate on that getting ahead process. Like right now, I've taken a few days off of work, some paid time off, to just work on videos, and I've already filmed 2 videos. This is my 3rd of the day, and I'm just going all in on a bunch of ideas I've had sitting around, and once I'm done with this kind of sprint, I'll have a bit of a stockpile built up again, and I can go back to kind of a normal pace and feel good about that. Also, at the moment, I often have decent chunks of my weekend days to myself, and so I'll spend those maybe making beats in the morning, kind of tinkering with some stuff in a bit more of a slow-paced, just kind of fun, relaxed manner, or I'll spend time doing kind of deeper research or testing of devices and video ideas. I'm assuming that'll change as I get busier and as I finally buckle down and get myself to study for the PE exam, for instance. I'll get there. But I'll have to get more discipline when that comes. But right now, my weekends are fairly chill, but reasonably productive for side hustle stuff. At this point, some of you are probably thinking that I am pushing myself way too hard and putting way too much importance on this silly music and YouTube stuff, while others of you are probably thinking that I'm not hustling nearly hard enough to chase my dreams. But this is a pace that I have found long-term over time, at least for now, works for me. It's sustainable, and it allows me to make reasonable progress on stuff that I care about while still prioritizing hanging out with the people I care about. That's huge. But it's definitely not perfectly balanced. I tend to ignore administrative life tasks until they pile up or become urgent. It doesn't leave a lot of time for things like exercise, although I do try to get a walk in at lunch and a hike in on the weekends, but I'm fairly out of shape. But finally, a few observations. I don't want to call them lessons because I don't think I'm nearly deep enough into my professional career to call them that, but these are things that I've noticed. First, because I live at home and have relatively few non-work responsibilities, I get away with quite a bit of disorganization. There's usually a bit of a mess right off screen, and like I said, I often let administrative life tasks fall through the cracks. This will probably change as time goes on, and I'll have to be more organized, but right now I can kind of get away with that, and let's be real here, I do waste a good amount of time. I'm not happy about it. I'm taking very deliberate steps to combat that, but there are some times where I just feel unmotivated and just kind of laze around and get absolutely nothing done. I often have to get myself into a bit of momentum to keep working on this stuff consistently and feeling energized to do so. But sometimes I just go through slumps, and that's why the stockpile is there. I can kind of take a step back, clear my head a bit, and then come back when I'm feeling fresh again. I'm both very ambitious and lazy, and those parts of me are fighting it out constantly. So what I've had to do is find ways to harness my laziness to be efficient and harness my ambition to work on stuff I care about. I've had to build habits that are very conducive to both my ambition and laziness. That usually comes in the form of keeping the pipeline from idea to finished product very fast, often to the detriment of the quality of it. Like, I don't put as much polish as I probably should into a lot of stuff, but it's kind of the way I just have to work if I want to do all the stuff I'm trying to do. If I was to do just one YouTube channel with one singular focus, or just focus on music as my side hustle, I'd probably get a lot further faster, but I've deliberately chosen a life of hybrids. I'm a hybrid civil engineer and music YouTuber. I'm a hybrid music producer and content creator. I like having one foot in both worlds, and I'm just trying to carve out a lane for myself that I don't really see a whole lot of elsewhere. So, we'll see how I do. And to be clear, this only works because I genuinely enjoy it. Not just the results either, like money or views. I genuinely enjoy the process, both of civil engineering and of making YouTube videos. I like brainstorming content ideas and trying to come up with 5-head title, thumbnail content combinations, or video tie-ins for both my channels. I like filming videos. I like trying out new devices and the discovery process involved, and I love making music. So that is what keeps me going. And if I ever stop enjoying it, which does happen occasionally, that's why I have the stockpile. I can take a step back, not force it, let the stockpile do my work for me, just keep videos coming out consistently, and eventually, if I leave it alone for long enough, I get the itch to pick up a music production gadget and start working on music again. If you leave me alone just twiddling my thumbs, eventually I'm going to start tinkering with music or video ideas. It's wired into my brain to want to work on this stuff. If you'd like to follow me on that journey, be sure to subscribe to this channel and my main channel, and you can check out the video about my super efficient camera setup on my main channel somewhere on the screen. Thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit. Okay, I think we're done.